this computer. All right. Shoot. Okay.
Good afternoon. Yeah, Teni ngazu tanji samja tamje la ya yishin no happy. Ani chik cheban zinding somebody so chanchuk semti. Ra chanchuk sem. Chan karsa. Sewa ninji chenpo teres. Ra. Ta di ani tartuk ngazu ani drusha tartuk wasananda. Toja tartuwa sanji tubi gyaan teres ani chongsa zishani ya tse dele ya chik susu ani kuyambu ani shidi unne tani ki semla ya shidi tre tungi ki semde ya teres ro.
We looked at the first verse from the 8 verses for training the mind and just put it on the screen again for you guys. So, determined to obtain the greatest possible benefit from all sentient beings who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I shall hold them most dear at all times. So, this thought of holding sentient beings to be more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel is a thought of great compassionate love, the one that is involved with bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. So thinking about what our end goal is to attain the state of enlightenment, the state of Buddhahood. So this thought that holds all sentient beings most dear at all time is a real genuine intention to give benefit to others. So if we generate it for the sake of attaining the state of Buddhahood, it's great, that's a final goal. But even as so far as looking at the things that are going to be affected in this life through a really and genuine great compassionate love and bodhicitta, even in this life we'll find peace and well-being.
Re da di da ngazu mamuchigi re ngalanchula ya ninji sambi nyamnyong de medi ani ninji ki tsendele ya kan just shidi tengure samsung roji toba yongchogro was ro ine ngazu samlu tamba ina ninji ki choto so roji bena ani tsewi ki samba chiki ro yoba ina samlu di tsewi ki samba kachusuki 지 체조가 맞듯이 세위 삼바티 운도 줘봐이나 간사디킬이야 아니 디르네야 간항은 진대토도 왔으면서라 디르네야 컨트롤을 써봤다 지 아니 셰당을 써비 상도 메비깔이야 아니 랑신 별로 차도 왔어 라 차도 상도 가주 슈치 이 남라지 이 간지 잡고 남았었지. 동기 남았었지. 유드라야지. 용되기도 왔어. 세비 삼바가 주시어 뒤쪽이 아니 메든 주시 있지. 대토야지. 그럼 이용도 왔어. 이 닝인지 삼비기 연대레스. 그럼 팬도레스.
So then thinking of the experience of compassion that we have, even if we haven't generated a great compassionate love, just as the one that is indicated in this verse, still, when we look at the experiences that are affected by the development of a certain degree of loving concern and compassion, we can see how there's a greater happiness and well-being, great peace of mind through the development of compassion and love. So then when we think of, for example, compassion, even if we haven't developed great compassion so far, then we can look at love, this sense of love and concern that we have to others in this life. And you could say that it is a part of compassion, although it's not a fully qualified, genuine compassion. So even if it's just a sense of loving concern for others in this life, commensurate with the strength of this affectionate love or loving concern that we have to others, dependent of how strong it is, we can see how we experience more joy and happiness in this life. Our mind is less, to a lesser degree, is full of anger. We have lesser anger, lesser hatred, a lesser sense of jealousy. Opposite to that, we can see how with a sense of anger, hatred, and jealousy, our mind becomes full of fear. Our mind becomes full of a sense of unhappiness or gloominess due to those disturbing emotions. So when we look at how our mind is affected based upon a personal experience by those states of mind, hatred, anger, jealousy, and so forth on one hand, or opposite to them, we have that compassionate love to others, a sense of concern for others. We can see how we can give rise to a sense of joy in our mind, that those joyful experiences, appearances that dawn to our mind, and we can see it calmly with a smile on our face if our mind is affected by a sense of loving concern to others. So through that, when we look at it from the point of view of our own personal experience, we can come to appreciate the benefits of loving concern to others.
Ani nganzoge ninji sambati sulaya migbigi ninji ke tuwana ani telaya dumhar tendo ki sambati ro ani Geshe gyatamba kagdwas ro dinza tamchela migbi ninji ke tuwan tamchela ya ani dumhar jeyagi manzu lunga ki chobadi rangshin kagdwas ro dinza ninji di manzu ji sangibi chuchingi jingone 좀 된디기 진죽지 응원이 그렇다고 된종도 저번 처음과 세딩이 킬린딩이 강사 증원이 그 니젠디 약슈디 닌지 삼바티 로 개치슈디 데레스 산지투비 규 싸워디야 닌지 샤열라야 이내는 두 상로 땅바이나 리비 드바이나야 닌지 등원이 타네기 개침부로 디레샤스.
So then we can see how this cultivation of loving concern to others affect the mind in this life. And we seek to extend it to the point in which we generate a sense of loving concern, a sense of compassion and concern for all sentient beings, suffering sentient beings, to give whatever sentient being, to do for the sake of sentient beings, whatever we can in order to free them from suffering. So we can see how this state of mind of compassion, great compassion and compassionate love affects our mind. This is particularly important to us as those who follow the teachings of the Buddha. So looking at a summation of the teaching of the Buddhas, it comes down to those two aspects, the aspect of the philosophical view of dependent origination and the aspect of the practice of non-harmfulness. So if we are going to be genuine followers of the Buddha, genuine Buddhist practitioners, we need to put into practice those two aspects, the aspects of non-harmfulness and the philosophical view of dependent origination. So non-harmfulness here is combined with an attitude of compassion to others, which is the root cause of attaining the state of Buddha. So through that, we can understand the great importance of engendering a sense of loving concern to others.
Da tuzosiki menza jius shut jidangi shishingmarle shut tumudwas ine du som damayna manzu lunga gichoba marab joras ro lunga gichoba marab kang yombati zawadi chagdangi samlo kazu shukchebe togi lunga gichoba marab tengodas ro jenle yachi ani chokcham chela sobatan kanji shenle nebeki lunga gichoba kanibadi and chagdangi sambi konelani tengu yabadi nganzu nyongi choguduslani chogudasra that di chablaya ninji sambajona and sundaje tuneya chamgyong chiagi choba yagadi ninji sambi konelani yongu yabadi sewu shores dinza and ninji ti kasota ngoni ichi and kongi jing sambajimba ro di ninji samlo dires.
We haven't got a lot of time today to go into extensive explanation of the way to develop that sense of compassion. And also Geshe is not sure that he himself has the full knowledge of how to go about doing that, but we can look at our experiences in this life. We can see how when we behave in a way that is rude, a way that is unruly, a way that is not appropriate, when we harm others in this way, we do that because at the very root, we are motivated by anger, attachment, and delight. And when anger and attachment becomes strong, our behavior is affected. Our behavior becomes unruly, inappropriate. We take things from others. We steal things from others. We take actions that come at the expense of others. This happened due to anger, attachment, and so forth. We can see that based upon our personal experience. We have all had experience of anger, attachment, and so forth, and we know how what they cause us to do. So opposite to that, we have a sense of compassion, a sense of care for others, a genuine wish to care for others, to nourish others. So our ability to work in that way for the sake of others is due to compassion. We can see that based upon our personal experience, and also see that this is what we need to develop. We need to develop that sense of loving concern and compassionate attitude to others.
Tereda ninji samadiana ani medelaya chi lodab da masona trin yagi chagin di ninji samati ra manza chi nyamta bi simjin chin tondi telaya ninji lebayna delaya roba che yagi samlo chi ikyomdo di da roba chi ta kharchena chi tengi chi roba cheja go sambi samlo soro chi ta tu chinya leondi ani chi 가서다 로드 체르 조야기 차긴 쪼지 지 삼바디 송요를 원이기 파지 닌지 삼루게 송라파 진 삼루 타와이나 니 텐데 애니밀이야 로드 체기요사레스.
And also when we develop compassion, our mind becomes courageous. We can see how our mind becomes courageous because of compassion. We look at sentient beings and we see how they are impoverished, they are beset by different types of sufferings to the point in which they become completely weakened, brought down by suffering. And you think to yourself, may I be of help to them? In whichever way I can, I want to be of help to other sentient beings. Developing that courage in your heart is attributed to compassion. It is mainly due to compassion that you can develop the great fortitude in your mind, thinking, I should do whatever it takes in order to be of benefit to others.
어디에 딘자 세간 담비컬이야 같이 인지기 뭐 잠도지 먼저다 모두 지어러스 이 아니 균댕기다 다 인지기 삼바된 샤비게 딱 기비고 손 만부여레스라 소소피기야 직 타제는 존이 직 세워는 가니는 태우다 어두 세네 아니 삼바다 아니 타 니르야 디르야 아니 소소길이야 탈동디 소소길이야 인지기 삼바 깨투매지 어두 신 용고여사레스.
So we spoke about the first verse in this text that says, may I hold sentient beings, all of them, may I hold them dear. So in some sense, you can say that it indicates that nature of compassion. So we speak quite a lot normally about compassion, right? And since here we have just a short time to speak about compassion, we don't have a lot of time, no, we don't have enough time to give an extensive explanation, but Geshe recommends, for example, Googling. Now, if you Google compassion, Geshe reckons that you find so much explanation that is available online as for the way to develop compassion. So it's good to do that. It's good to be informed, to become better informed about the way to develop compassion. And once you do that, you go through a process of study, in a sense that you listen to an explanation of the way to generate compassion. You reflect upon it. Then you put it into practice in your meditation session, so your mind gets closer and closer to the development of compassion. You become more familiar with compassion to the point in which a genuine experience of compassion arises in your mind.
tere dinza dindigi samlo di ani susu tambu ngoshiba je ani komdi ten tu su drawa ino ani rangula kiyo yo chik ro ani jawrumji ti namale longdang de ati chonjugu re chonjugu longdang de ati komna lawar minju ngode kan yo mayis manzu kari ani kandachile ya komdi ten ba ina ko lelha munrongi jik chö kana yo mares di drawpe yo ro manzu kari komba chinaya di lel har droda pen kar jang bayina ro jang undi ko karso suzugi ta ripal pabe gi machine ya jida matu ya ji mundo as.
So we become more familiar with compassion, and through that we give rise to compassion in our mind stream. And just like His Holiness the Dalai Lama often says when he quotes Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, one of the verses in the 6th chapter speaks of there's nothing that does not become easier through familiarity. So think about it. We here apply it particularly to compassion. If you become familiar with it, there's nothing that does not become easier through familiarity. It's also applicable to anything else that we do in life. If you get thoroughly familiar with something, it's easier to do. And the same thing applies here to compassion.
manju semle ya kariyore islaundi chedan chagdok seda ngarje seda khungro seda mambu yoros ro thagdon di tinan taji ngarje seda ro ngarje gisamba dige ani nganju gi yonden kon peyak legbicha ani konbal tang gokin tsuchidi ngarje le ya tiores.
So then when we look at the second verse in this text, it says, when in the company of others, I shall always consider myself the lowest of all, and from the depth of my heart hold others during supreme. So we develop compassion to others, and along the way there are obstacles and hindrances for the development of compassion. Such states as anger, hatred, pride, jealousy, and so forth, all of them act as obstacles, as hindrances for the development of compassion. And amongst them, one of them is pride. Pride is chief in preventing compassion and the mind of enlightenment from arising. Pride, the main attribute of pride is that it prevents us from developing better and better qualities.
Ngajil digi zo di ani khasata susu chi yin sambi ngombi ngajil digi ani shen la yan tongzong cheyagi jobo zo di ngajil di thon legwa sarwas ra.
So we spoke of pride, which is chief in preventing our good qualities from being developed further on. So it is that type of pride, that strong pride in which we think that I'm such a great person. When we think so greatly of ourselves, we also come to belittle others, to look down on others.
Reta tongzonggi shenlaya tongzonggi samlo dilyawndigi chik lungagi choba khandaji ya chik tong madeyagi namgyur chik legiras dichidi ani na peje ya tugmare namgyu yena yahushten tugmare dini otu shondigi ani penzu muntumbagi zodi ngajek sogdas ra ngajek sogdas dichidi da chik nami jimba ya ani kuteme ki lega cheondi chugdo as an sobaji ya chik le ya an chik teme ki chawa cheondi teme ki chik peju cheondi 아니 토드라야라 소바 이용도 왔어 라
And with the sense of pride that we develop when we see ourselves as being, as being so great, we come to belittle others. And it also affects our actions of body and speech. With our speech, we disparage others. We speak to them in a way that is belittling. And also our body language expresses the sense of disdain to others when we belittle them. So it feels a sense of discordancy between ourselves and others. And we can see the way that it affects our relationship with others. In a family unit, for example, if there's something that we need to do, some work that needs to be done, with that sense of discordance between ourselves and our family members, we're not going to be able to accomplish. And a similar thing can be said with respect to working together in communities, in a certain organization, in a certain community. Our community falls apart because of such types of relationship, in which someone has pride, they look down on others, and then people become not harmonious with each other.
아니 간선고 찍찍래 때문에 성로디 로 나르게킨 아니 젠래 때문고 삼비게 성로직로 당가게 세디 디지디다 아니 때문에 자치인 거라 찍찍래 때문에 자치인디 아니 비게 소주기 레가디 집이 레가지 바이냐 아니 게르 소주기 셈래야 포도 그러셔야든지 용도 집이 레가드 마르네야 지다 소소 란딩 기치다 레가 지구요 말다 지구 레가 집이 체되네요 삼로디 아니 나게다 딘지 손레온디 타마 비 레가 만두디 게스 수자니 지구에 차대야라 소바 두 삼로 아니 나게 삼비 손레고레스.
So then looking at a certain community work that we do, community or type of public service that we do, although you might say it is done for the sake of the public, with a sense of pride, people get affected or hurt personally by something that is done towards the public. And even though when something is directed towards a certain community or a certain public, you don't need to take offense personally. Because of pride, it does happen. Because of pride, you see that you get affected, you get offended personally. And this is something that we don't need to have.
Ramden Shenden Chawa Karichi Kalinea, Sudan Drop Kalinea, Suzu, and Shenley, any member page, Shenley, Shen, any Tichembodan, took to Kurchin and Drawina, any Chawa the Kaduina, and Trashi Leg Tony, drop to get Yunguores, Ra, and surely ya, and Suzu in the Samakibu, Ra, Chawad Chesevi Jelia, Gaugum Yuju, or Dindi Chagwas.
So as this verse says, I shall consider myself the lowest of all. So if you do regard yourself as lower than others, then from the depth of your heart, you develop that sense of respect to them. You appreciate others when you regard yourself as lower to them. So you can say that what happens then is that your work together with others becomes harmonious, but also on the side, your mind is made happier. You can rejoice in activities that are accomplished through such attitude.
And dealing member Tagoris Laundi, Sango Nolaya, Marshongil, not called the Carson member Roach, Pena, Jig, and Benjo Kanakanzo Yongi Miji, any hearing the Nebalanga Cheondi, Suzu Robert the Jig, any Carso Tajik, Joa, Soso Nashing, Mengi the Chevaina, and Midi, Jonding, Midi, and in Joa maybe Midi, Kodangali, not call it member Samsung, Samudi. 간스는 초직이야 차시직 담이야 소소데스직 아니 자기 망하면서 디코란 견선의 체네 넘버 탐진의 소소 아니 콜레 차가서르시 따야지 용거라스 디두스와 심주 제와나 디초직 담니 차시직 담부터네 아니 콜레 개발도 파바도지 레마도 넘버 탐진의 콜레 개발도 파바 임바디 싸우니는 루트 말아왔어.
So you might wonder, how then do I develop that attitude in which I see myself as lower than others? Well, in what way, for what reason am I lower than others? Well, for example, you can think of certain situations, imagine certain situations, like, for example, suppose that you're a businessman on the road. You're traveling somewhere and you come across someone that is totally bereft of anything, that doesn't have what you have. And you might think to yourself, of course, I'm doing much better than the person that I've just met. I have so many things, they have nothing. And still, when you think about that situation, you're doing better than that person only in one way. It's not that you're doing better than that person in all ways, from all perspectives, from all angles, in all aspects. It's only one aspect, not all of them.
아니 어디 어딘데 간지 딘자 아니 배는 간주 두스타 온디게 간주 년콜 예비 차디 치우츠에 때바이나 아니 가서 다지 제당 카실라 간주를 콘주 아니 콘주 케와다 콘주 아니 짬부딘디 딘도스라 아니 탐치니 콘주 간주를 멤버 해면도 제당 콘주 둔조를 되네요. 초 탐치니 콘주 간주를 멤버 해면도 수수 아니 지금 보고 써야지 수수 창소야지 지겨라디 니마니마 칼라사이 콘주 따다 치신 창소원 근데 지우주 창소원디 삼발라 아니 니마 마셔야 아니 지 장무슈 마차야 차왔다는 출마래야 상마 아니 도수 찍보게 아니 이게야 육제야부슈데요 말다 싸다 신가 아니 사가 소바게 이코랑 그 수진 센데 쇼지 소트거다스 만주기 이미 로손 쳔부지면은 리조트메 봐서 디리트 송다웨나 코 만주 콘솔 멤버 초칭 따야지 자기진도 와서
You can find creative ways in which you can see how, in some sense, even animals are doing better than you. Like, for example, when you think of birds, even as far as birds, and here we live in a bush situation, so there are many birds around, and you can see the way that they go about the business. Like, for example, the way that they build nests, the way that they care for the small chicklings. You can see how, in many different ways, they have better skills than us as human beings. In some ways, they're also doing things in a way that is wiser. And even though you could say that they're only birds, still, when you think of, for example, being so skilled in building a nest that is protected from the sun, that can still retain warmth and heat, that is protected from the rain or water and so forth. They can do it, it seems, kind of naturally in a really skilled way. And how hard it is for us, and how much expenses do you need to put along the way in order to create a similar place for yourself. Now, unless you have the means to do it as a human being, you're not going to be able to do it. And birds can do it so skillfully. So in that sense, you can say that even though you could say that they're just birds, there's still ways in which you can see how they're doing better than us in some aspects as human beings.
연구열었디 아니 된 뭐만이야 간수직 젠레 뜨무고버려서 자원이 말아왔어 넘버 탐진이 젠레 뜨고식 자기도 왔어 배나 존딩이나 젠레 뜨고고리 옴포이나 젠레 뜨고고요리 개바이나 젠레 뜨고고요리 배나 먼저 상기에 심진을 땡고도 왔어 제목 파장 상기에 대해 심진을 땡고도 왔어 상기 제버틀리 예디야 심진을 땡 예고도 왔어 인자 셴라 마덴바 용야 자원이 매교치려야 아니 친절로 진짜 되메기 상을 개바이나 잔지에 매버디 야시야다 말해도 왔어.
And also with a sense of pride, we have the sense that we are unrelated to others, that we are independent from others. But this is certainly not the case, because in all ways, from all different perspectives, we can see how we are dependent upon others. If you're wealthy, if you're poor, if you're skilled, or if you're wise, you can see how that can come about only in depending upon others. I mean, let alone those examples. When you look at even the state of Buddhahood, you can see how to become a Buddha and then to enact a Buddha's enlightened activities can come only in depending upon others. Particularly when you think of Buddha's activities being enacted for the sake of others, they can be enacted only in dependence upon others. So therefore, having that notion of existing independently, which comes through that sense of pride that arises in our mind, is completely erroneous. It is an erroneous state of mind. So then when you think about it in this way, you can see how we are dependent upon others. This is totally real. This is totally true. We are dependent upon others. This is our reality. So then when we look at this verse again, and it says, I shall consider myself the lowest of all, and from the depth of my heart hold others dear and supreme. You can appreciate how this is true. This is real. It's not that we're speaking about something that is completely fictitious, something that has no basis in reality. It is something that is totally in line with reality. And thus, if you become familiar with that, Geshe reckons that you can see that it is possible for you to embody those states of mind.
가서 다지 송geb지온디 자송고레슬라온디 인지민이 칠로더반 소용고 유소르치 라 아니 대치고라스라 베나 가르쳐봐 있네야 안주 칸바시켜봐 있네야 조디 고델이야 곤자자야 디페트 착부 슈치 아니 곤자자야 다스 소수 송geb로디 아니 소수라야 장고마디 칠로니 리기비게 안바도 등한지 차 가르치네야 평고라스라 자르시 잡아이나래 가르쳐봐이네야 아니 야캅지면은 한참 그래야 소든 로소만시디 아니 상sam벨이 땅지 방밀라와라야 멘다 바르제다 저 참마샤니 로소만시디 티강다니 아니 나로 소수 셈바이 저버링가 있음 저버들이 아니 교토마메오니 바창 임비토기 간지 컴비요 히톨라 땅자
So we need to protect our mind. We need to protect our mind in a way that is similar to protecting ourselves from an enemy. So when you think about it, normally we think of an enemy as someone that exists somewhere out there externally. And we build houses and locks and doors and so forth in order to protect ourselves from that external enemy. We put a sturdy lock on our door. We fence our house in order to protect ourselves from that external enemy. Countries build fences and borders and put armies with ammunition in order to protect the borders from an external enemy coming in. But when we think about it still, when we think of what the real enemy is not out there, it's not external. The real enemy is inside.
칠로니 용거레스 송문도스라 간스나 산점데디 송나로라야 다니다기 아니 괜히 danyi dagi jayin le danyi ba chebala ani danyi dagi pangbu ins disong yores.
And this is also something that you find in the Buddhist teaching, in thinking of the real enemy being inside and having to protect ourselves from that internal enemy. In one of the teachings of the Buddha, you find that statement that I am my own protector in terms of good actions or good activities. I bear witness to myself.
Tadi kandas res laundi nganzu dra singindi and neshi gi zo jilaya neba chingi gi zo jilaya dras lagoras dra ra tichidi gi ta nganzu neshi gi zo di nganzu le ne kandas gi gris laundi nganzu dumhar nelaya kewa gyunchini ani ngansong nelaya jorwa chingindi ta nganzu dra zo dichago gros.
So how is it that this enemy is an internal enemy? Well, first off, an enemy is someone that we regard as a harm doer. That is the meaning of an enemy, someone that causes harm. And looking at the way that we are being harmed in a succession of lifetime, from one lifetime to the next, in one rebirth to the next, that internal enemy connects us again and again with miserable states of rebirth.
And chencha karma karikyoneyan digi medigi nganzu tundri any kenilea jortu marwas from ngansong kenilea jartu marwas.
So when you think of this internal enemy that connects us with miserable states of rebirth from one lifetime to the next, we are born in miserable states of existence, like being born as an animal. So what is the thing that makes us be born as an animal, or makes us be born as a preta, a hungry ghost? It's not that there's someone out there externally that holds a weapon and makes us take such a miserable rebirth. The thing that makes us take such rebirth are not those external things. They cannot do it.
Chidani chilog drago mare sosu keji ki gyutarangi ani chiyagi ken chigres songyore di ani songdan taran chigores pro keji ki gyukorangi ani nganzu jiji ki gyuchirores nganzu ya chi nganzu chiya di neba inza chiji ki gyu sosu ani chini chomi ki chilog drajile ya tu goyo manganzu chiya nebores is it delia ani chiji ki ken samdele ya shoji ki ani dranzin edi yang tagbajida nguyene suji chago mares.
But then when we still look at external enemies and our attitude towards external enemies, you can say that the worst that can happen due to an external enemy is that they will take your life, they will kill you. It is bad, of course, but still, when we regard the role in the taking of your life, you can say that the external enemy is a condition for the cessation of your life. But still, the main cause for the cessation of your life is not something out there. It's actually something that is external. In some sense, you can say that the condition for death is birth. Death is conditioned by birth. So right from birth, it is guaranteed that you will die. So it might be that an external enemy will be a condition for that, but even when that external condition is absent, death can come, and death is guaranteed to come, because death is conditioned, you could say, by birth.
Dinza kasorda 랭안들레 데데 바이나 민치윙이 바자오니 님도스 라 아니 간지 간주기 지 미기 통기 여바다 지 라바 레기 여바 아니 참말로 간지 간주 지 야부 슈츠 데기 아니 근데 칼라진 바이나 간주 치잉기 치위 있겠네야 준중 빼만부 여러스 라
And even when you find yourself in a really comfortable situation, you can dwell easily or comfortably in a certain state. It's not that it is impossible for you to die. It's not that death is something that you will absolutely avoid. After all, so many things that are conducive for life can turn to be also conditions for death. This is even as far as wholesome food, something that we normally regard as something that keeps our body alive. In a certain situation, even that wholesome food can act as a condition for your own death.
딘자디 가르친 제르슬라반디 남주 란신 고랑 규비 란신 진지 손자 아니 긴다 규 가르토이나 아니 란신레야 규 란신 디 칼레야 지 남주기 교친 태원지 로라 마숑야 디 가르 아니 먼저 세마 양직자 용대야 교바 용대야디 아니 남주 란신 마마디 네루디 movement on moving on the assembly digital there mother only ko kaso the kachchile madu win your do the ranshin di anju and to yana some to yana your cut drop in ya the ranshin is some much mother ya and you right there da namra there do da maga there some of the ending US maris
Our very nature is a nature of change, that constant change. And because of that nature of constantly being subject to change, death can happen, death can occur. Anything can happen, you can say, because of that nature of change. And yet when something great changes for us, there is like a big change that we experience all of a sudden, our mind is then become full of fear and anxiety. It is due to not knowing, not understanding that nature of change that we're subject to. It is due to not knowing reality, due to not knowing that there's not even a minute moment in which we stay the same, that constant change is ever flowing. And not understanding that when we all of a sudden notice changes, then our mind is full of anxiety, full of fear, full of regret, and so forth.
Kana yores lavaina ani rangsim ne yubigi ani nimutu samti ra suzu semla ya chikyo thoma mevasana mandu komdeagi ani nimutu sam sam digi ani nansung ele jogres tinzang eba chingi niji zudi suzu gyule yubigi chagdang samlu tires janguma tires o disungores ra.
And in a succession of lifetimes, from one rebirth to the next, the thing that connects us with miserable states of existence, with miserable realms, are afflictive states of mind. If you wonder, why am I connected repeatedly with those miserable states? It is because the poisonous afflictions, such as the three poisonous afflictions, anger, attachment, and ignorance, that operate in a mind stream since time without beginning and up until now. So, what is the main harm doer? Who is the real enemy? Well, the real enemy are those afflictive states of mind, anger, attachment, and ignorance.
mumbo mariba singing, Savachigres, Mariba singing, Niluk Mashibio, Amati, Nedang Madi, Nedang Madi Lea, Shinjulo the shooting, some of the Maribares, Shinjulo the shoot, there was some of the Wangi, any Cha Mongosalea, any Chavakea, Dang Mongosalea, Dang Kondrosadea, Dindi, some of the Wangi, any Lunagi Chavakarichev and Tanshivanaji, any Chava Marajimodo. Rangshinley, Nevi Chavajimodo, Pembi Chav Chitumenza, Chava T. Dogitini, any Kevadianko, Usajilia, Jodogoras, or Diris.
Anger, attachment, and ignorance. So these states of mind which connect us with visible states of existence. And there is a lot to be said with respect to the operation of these afflictive states of mind and the mechanism by which they lead us to visible states of existence. So the explanation is quite extensive, and Geshe wonders whether he has the ability to give a succinct and brief explanation that will also be coherent with respect to how anger, attachment, and ignorance connect us with visible state of existence. But still, when we look at those afflictive states of mind in a brief way, we can see how in certain situations we become angry with something that we ought not to be angry with, or that we become attached to things, to something that we ought not to be attached to. And though we do not need to get angry or attached to those objects, they arise, and because of them, we behave in a certain way. Our actions become negative actions, they become harmful actions because of that motivation of anger and attachment. And because of that, we perform things that are negative, harmful, things that are not helpful. Because of that, we end up taking invisible rebirth.
Teldiza, da Nanzong never joining, never chinging, so different. And Rangula Yevigi, Chadamosunteres, Nanzon Nang Pensu, Manchamba Sunging, so dig, never chinging there, and Chadamosunteres, the Kanji, and Karsota, and someone who took Dengi, and Nujig different, so Gula Yevigi, Chadamosunteres.
So we have these things in a mind stream. In a mind stream, we have anger and attachment, those things which connect us with visible states of existence. And these are the states of mind that make us not be able to get along with others. They create disturbances for us. They create disturbances for ourselves and others.
Kanzana Nanzulia Chadang song Kazu Shuchong, Di Tsugi, any Nidayan, Tons of Cheva, any Chava Karchina Yanko, any Jig Derchik, Yungudas, Benekevitama Zulia, and Kazuski Pilia, Yamni Yungi Midi, Di Tsugi, any me, any Chitso Kanjachin now in Jobaina, and some logi, and a Chanjo down, Tonda, Kuzi Legdos, and then me, any Kaswata, Nargets, or Chado, and Chadangi, some young Kawa, the Dronaya, Kakalaya, could toot the tension, go good there in Yungle mother, so can go chimudas. There's a and then the ship Chadam was in, but the Silveris, or Silveris.
If our sense of anger and attachment is lesser, if they have less power, then we can cope with certain situations in a way that is much better. We're able to tolerate or to bear certain situations. Even when we come across something that might be difficult, we can think that that's okay. That is attributed to having a lesser degree of anger and attachment. You can look at those great beings, great practitioners, and the way that they react to certain situations. And when they walk amongst us in societies, also they get a high level of appreciation, a high level of respect in the way that they react to certain situations. With pride, with jealousy, with anger and attachment, it is possible that you might get your way in one way or another, and yet people are not going to like you. You're going to be disliked by others if those afflictive emotions are strong.
Tinza silta tinza lagore ani tanganzu chikpilaya ani chungbu chini songgoya di ransem res sosu sem ra cholom kund rangula tojin yumuke mata daje maron chevena tsandam don dober shol seki ani sije digi karsun korsadi patcharangi songgoya di charangi chikpilaya chik kaddu inape 아니 심죽 체세디 아니 심바 말다스 신기 견에 그냥 주도 체고 말이스 그냥 샘디 야부 송바이나 아니 그냥 고 템그레스 라 어디서 거스레.
And therefore, if we act smartly, what we do need to guard is our own mind. And this is the import of the next verse in Geshe Tampa's text. So it says, vigilant, the moment the delusion appears in my mind, endangering myself and others, I shall confront and avert it without delay. So a smart person is a person that guards the mind. So we don't need to guard against things that are out there, external things. This is not our business. It's not a business to look at what other people do. Our business is to guard our mind. As it says here, as soon as an afflictive emotion arises, I shall face and avert it without delay.
가을에 심주치기 직대바나 아니 신이야 신기견 참 제대야다 신기견 시에대야지마도 소수란 유기 착당라야 아니 카초니 나들이 엠베지 아니 착샘들이 계속 아니 콘론들이 세서 아니 노트들이 쇼삼디 수칼론 심주치기 베니니로 왔어 다 계시난 담비기 아니 쪼디 아니 뒤쪽 강요바디 장샘 야야 딱지지 장샘 송 장샘이야지 깨치점이야 니문도 송기 노지위는 대마타도 배 디마시야기 탑 가르여미 안성유 디탄진 아니 꾸지 강부 두스키 여러스
So that we study here mind training, Lojong, the Buddha Dharma. So that when we think of at least what we do here, the study of mind training, the study of the Buddha Dharma. If you think, what am I exploring throughout the day? Looking at the passing of 24 hours of the day, what is the main thing that we're doing? Often we see that what we're mainly exploring, while what we're mainly watching is what other people do. Not only we watch what other people do, we find faults and we criticize what other people do, and seldom we turn inwardly and look at our own mind. So that in terms of our practice of mind training, as Geshe Tamba pointed out, we are mainly interested in exploring the mind. And yet, still, when we look at what happens to us throughout the day, we get attached, attachment arises. So we become angry with others. We make mistakes because we don't really explore, we don't really investigate what is happening to us in our own mind. So just as Geshe Tamba said here in this verse, the moment the delusion appears in my mind, endangering myself and others with that sense of vigilance, I shall confront and avert it without delay. This is our main interest. This is the main thing that we want to explore, not others, but to explore our own mind.
간지 아니 뉴문 도송기 뉴문 비상로지 끼기가 하거나 아니 센터스라운디 대마타도 대마타도 변은 직소소 가서다 아니 변은 모르지단 다가라 모르까시 남가 술들에까지 아니 수수로 종야디 변은 디소리 쓴거레스 즉 아니 가서다 나도 지금 내가 개침무지 제대가 왔다 개침무 찍으라 든지 제대가 다른 디샤지 아니 수수 상로디 주주다 지금 야구지 이용해 돌아야 상도다 그리고 어두 시고야디 아니 빼면서 계시모를 sonro.
So in looking at the sentiment that Geshe Langtampa echoes here in this text, it says that looking at your own mind, recognizing those occasions in which the afflictive emotions, the three poisons, arise in your mind, you need to first of all recognize that as soon as they arise and confront and avert them without delay. So Geshe says that thinking about it, that sense of urgency in confronting and averting our own afflictive states of mind as soon as they arrive. So you drive somewhere, for example, and while you're driving your car, you still need to be mindful of your own mind. And as soon as an affliction arises, even when you're driving, stop the car. Now you stop the car at the side of the road, and you immediately confront and avert that negative state of mind. Or you're doing something else that is very important. And even if it's important, looking at what Geshe Langtampa says here, you're still mindful of your own mind. And as soon as an affliction arises, at that moment, you confront and avert it.
Geshe Langtampa kerangi dusunguina nganzu dili logs chiging sevisoro chichin nganzu bena ji kongro ji saguyana 미지 남겨라 때는 콩로 사거나 콩로 디 아니 콩로 들에 깨마되지 콩로 사사게 메들에 깨되지 콩로 쳇당 그러스 콩로 슉 쳇당 그러스 차바지에서 질려와이나 아니 기비 차바에 깨마되지 이스타비야 아체네 차바 슉 쳇당 그러 로 베드 곧 베드 곧도 koddobi tumreji madobi sozu samba na shingi ani deji drumatu yadia ko ginze dindil teni yungu yoros ro.
But then looking at the way that we act, we can see how we're doing things in the way that is totally opposite to what Geshe Langtampa is saying, totally opposite to the instructions that we get here. We get angry, for example, with another person. And then rather than looking inwardly at our own anger, we get more angry with that person. Our mind tends to then exaggerate the negative quality of that person. So there is a sense of exaggeration that kicks in, and then we become even more angry with that person. Or a sense of attachment arises in our mind. And again, rather than looking inwardly, we give way to that sense of exaggeration so that we become even more attached than before. So rather than paying heed to what Geshe Langtampa says here, normally, regularly, what we do is completely the opposite.
Today, some time and Anzugi, Lega Chetan Samulo, we need to da Mintimbi, Ra Carsa, Tagosalaya, Tamatu, Mugosalaya, Tuzutang the Yusuf. But did it check those?
So really, when we think about the way that we act, it's not totally in line with reality. We are not in touch, we're in touch with reality. We look at things that we ought not to look at. We get involved with things that we ought not to get involved with. So then going back to that sense of looking at the thing that is harming us, what we need to guard against, that enemy that harms us, is an internal state of mind. We need to prevent anger and attachment from arising. And the way to do that is through taking up the methods of loving kindness and compassion, that sense of concern to others. Through this, we can prevent the eternal enemy from rising up. And if we do this, we will arrive at our destination.
차당 기상로디 차당 기상로디 간주직 아니 초리 젠질이야 아니 촉수홍지 라 촉수홍지야 아니 가서 다직 아니 참마다 통부용야디 자원이 매교치 라 하든데 아니 콩트리 삼비왕기 통위기지 아니 란싱이 비심제세는 문도 도전 통원디기 아니 도sol이야 믹스기지 아니 소소 마가슬이야 가서다 직 참만디거든 일려와나 아니 가와곰데야 라 소소 가사질에 직비 착사질에 직려온디 양 비게 아니 가서 샘리치데야 딘지기 촉수만호이기 로족과나스 아니 식타마디 딘사 식오마디 란싱 임비심제는 비두 타브는 동제 진제때든 저 이바가위 진지쇼.
So if a mind is governed by partiality, by anger, attachment, and so forth, which make a mind become biased, become partial, will not be compatible with everyone. We're not going to be able to be harmonious with everyone so long as a mind is governed by the sense of partiality. So we need to guard our mind, and particularly when we come across someone of a negative nature, then we need to rejoice in the opportunity, to be happy about the opportunity to further guard our mind. And when we come across someone that we normally would have great attachment to, then we need to have a sense of worry, to be on guard, to make sure that we're doing well. This is the next thing that Geshe Langri says in his verse. It says in verse 4, whenever I see beings who are wicked in nature and overwhelmed by violent negative actions and suffering, I shall hold such rare ones dear as if I had found a precious treasure.
Like Trump.
Like Trump.
He's a very classic example in this time.
So are you speaking about Trump with a sense of attachment or with a sense of hostility? Hostility. Just joking.
I guess I was just something that Geshe talked about this morning was about a collective karma, and you know, I was talking to Sonia on the phone, and she said that somebody asked the question about, well, you know, I didn't create the karma for what's happening with COVID. You know, I think a lot of the Americans would be saying, I haven't created the collective karma. And I was really wondering if Geshe would be able to expand on, you know, our interdependency and the role of collective karma in relation to these COVID-19 times.
All right, so I'm just going to repeat the question for the people listening at home, and then I'll translate it to Geshe. So there was a question here from the floor asking about, like, for example, Trump, or there was a discussion after one of the things that Geshe said, or in relation to one of the things that Geshe said with respect to the collective karma. Like, for example, someone might say, I have not created a cause for this COVID-19, for the coronavirus. So how does this role of collective karma plays in? How do we contribute in the actions that we do to collective karma? So what's the goal with that, so to speak?
That'd be great if you could just expand on that.
Yeah.
Explain it a little bit more, please.
이 시간 연결된 시대와 이나와 참다고 주의하는 것이 공부 세마코란 치와 시바치 간디 시바치 치와 이나와 디라 그런 찌 레벤다고 치 직선이다. 그래서 그냥 한 시간 따지 나자기 자본인들이 가사카라 첸 가사카라 난 소소 게이 때와 있나 나시 자본인 참았네 영향을 그는 잘 나디 lady so Yomana, non Lekamava, the chill letters. She didn't come on the lady now, she shower in a so, come on the lady, can the chicks sagio, medito la Geshe into any.
Tom catches a cook, Tom, Tom do damage in the Yamardas, but Ari Pump, Juchembo, Colella, in the
Mare, and the Kurante, not some Mimancha Kurante, Michigan, Yamba show to see or.
So that in a co dojina, Bena, and up to here, Colea car message, any sometime Yurio Maris. As not in the Trump setting me out Jushimodo, Kanji, Arigi, in the Pombuti, and Nanchu Kikorlengio Mara, Koniji, Nanju Shin Koreomara, Nanchu Mishing in Jiki, and Chadangi talk with Chawachi only, come you. Manzuchi at the any low Nishu Sumju, any the Nanchulea Janchi, Lojo Tolea, Kachonea, and that is so is money. That is Chadan Tabu, any Shan Kirchini, Nilaya, Six do judgment of Lama, Lam the breathing in the Euros, to do the better you read us. The court, Sayin, don't you killing your money? Any Lojong, any chick, Jan, Shaggy, was on the chin. Come you to
Well, so the first part of your question referred to Trump, the great leader. So then, thinking of Trump, for example, just to say that, well, you can say that, obviously Trump is not Buddhist. No, he's not someone that believes in Buddhist views. He's not someone that sees himself as Buddhist practitioners. So in that sense, you can say that, well, what can he do, if he doesn't believe in any of that stuff? In some sense, is in such a pitiful situation. And yet, in comparison, when we look at us, some of us have been involved with the Buddha Dharma for 20 years and 30 years. And still, when we come across a certain situation, the only thing that we can do is to get angry, and we completely lash out at another person. Even if we see ourselves as Buddhists, even if we've been around for 20 or 30 odd years. So in that sense, you could say that, well, there is someone that actually is not even trying to follow the Buddhist path, doesn't even believe in that. There are people like us that do that, and yet when we look at the way that we react to a certain situation and lashing out at others, or getting completely furious with others, then in some sense you can say that we're doing even worse. Now, of course, someone like Trump, it seems that simply what they do is because of that unknowingness, they try to secure their own benefit, even if it comes to the defeat of others, right? So what they focus on is their own victory and the defeat of others, and then do it because of unknowingness. And yet, we often do it knowingly, even though we've been around for such a long time. We still sometimes completely get furious with others and find nothing positive to say about others.
That didn't Chitugi lays at the Manzo Simjin Chi lays, and that Chimang said sort of some Chictan and Judas. Some Chictan and some logi, and some logi, Gedik Pama Chia di, then Nanson Dojina, that Nimatawale, that Dinan Chick Mazudi, and the Sangat Dojimana, and on the Rab the Chonchi. Sanjig Namsat Kenji, Rabd Chonding in they do because they get the Pam Sushin she took your Veslana. The Kabudos. Nimachiglia, Monichi, Diva Megivi Legi, Enichi Tolaya, some shoot, Chimushuki, down to us. And it be in the Bertrand stage of any same thing. And Gavaching on the same way, keep to this. But this two never know. Deeper love than a madana, Kanji, Digi, Yimi, Tom to me, Taros. But then Tom Madudi, and Diva may give it Ranshin Sarota, Samu. This is indeed in a minute. Bigly children do much of indeed in a minute. I want the Tamantua. And he has a chuma, Karina, something like sugar, something like sugar, something like sign giver to some law. But indeed, can't you give this up to let any chosa usually But Dilla was.
En utan kran la di so gege di tonjin cherve amana mitsama tonjin chegi yotsan den mitsama den.
That's just kanji soon something and the billion Zayad Ekumburas. One shaggy. The Migada to Shirking Pashan, Shirking, Hinang Rajun singing to the billion Zayala Pekaburas.
Now, with respect to common karma, or things that we, universal karma or collective karma, we sometimes call it. Well, when we think about it, to begin with, on an individual level, we can say that all of us, similarly, on an individual level, each and every one of us have a certain disregard to karma. In a sense that, for us, one of the main Buddhist principles in terms of the working of karma is looking at how positive and negative actions bring their own result. And in relation to that, we need to take up some virtuous actions and cast aside or discard some negativities, negative action. And yet, you can say that although this is what we need to do, since that all of us to a certain degree play down what we need to do. I mean, let alone lay people, when you look at it in terms of us as monastics, so we have decided to take up the robes, to become monastics, and yet Geshe says that when we look even at a single passing day and see how much regard do we give to karma, to virtuous actions, negative actions, what we need to take up, what we need to cast aside, it's so hard to be totally focused and to take it up in a really strong and forceful way. It's like, for example, living in this scenario, we have lots of insects around us, and we happen to, for example, squash an ant, to kill an ant. Do we get so distressed about it? Do we take that so seriously? We don't, do we? It's pretty difficult to do it. So then, we think about it in relation to ourselves as monastics, in that we don't see that as a grave fault. So that when we do that, you can say that it happens to us on a personal level or individual level, and yet you can say that this is something that is common to many of us. That sense of disregard or not taking karma as strongly or as seriously as it should be. So this contagious disease that we experience in the moment is just one example of such results of playing down, playing down the force of karma. We experience other negative results that come out of our negative actions. Like, for example, we experience natural disasters. We have fires and floods and other calamities and disasters. All of them are results of negative actions which occur when we don't have that strong regard to the force of karma.
And kanji and Korean Sunjun Jivajarchi. And it's Kong Garden Naviati, in on to Kunchi. Konaji Chin sitting in Sunia, and Tambuchi to Mevas. Tambuchi Mutu Ganaya, any Chori, any Samlo, Chori Fecha, and Deledembigi, and Datu Puducia, Dindi Chingeros. And the tea someone on Nanchu. Digbasag me Samsung. Nanzu Tambu chain Samsung. Some of your dinner. On the Shimja, which one, Kongrusa, any Katan there, they will give us. But didn't Dembigi, any Tamanti was Samadi, any Chintin Gilel, the Savare said, 딜리러지 sometimes don't show what is right.
As we said in the morning session, as Geshe said, when we think of the Buddha, the Bhagavan, just in terms of being a human being, you can say that in terms of being a human being of this world, you can probably regard that person to be of the most honest, straightforward person. Completely genuine and honest in what they say and what they do. And we, in the Buddhist tradition, we wish to follow his footsteps, to do it exactly like he did. So for those of us who, for example, who become ordained, so we change our clothes, we don the robes of the monastic, and we think that I will act in a way that the Buddha spoke of. And although we declare that, we can't really do that. We don't do that. We still, not only we don't act in a way that the Buddha has explained, when we look at a state of mind is still partial. We are partial, we still get angry with others and we speak out, we lash at others due to that sense of anger. We don't even think about it. We often have that idea, we think that I have done nothing wrong, I'm not doing negative actions, and yet we still allow our mind to be partial, to hold those partiality with respect to those that are close to our heart, friends and family members, relatives, and so forth, and we get angry with others. So in that sense, even though we think that I've done nothing wrong, I'm doing no negativity, are we really following the teachings of the Buddha in a genuine way? So in that sense, Geshe can take that to be like a general karma that you're creating.
아니 초리 매바 장부 단장기 아니 좀된데 나신 조기였나 안직 소소래야 팬통인기 다 수수 가사기 미디 강한 체온디 아니 로버체바 나신기 수수 무가사다 수수 만천사기 미질이야 강한 티비 칼이야 아니 디두 타빈 연통세 아니 배 rinchen 때다 체바 나신기 가고공친 엔델이야 팬섬 꺼내는 로버체 투완 다 띵원이 아니 좀된데 진주그레스 먼저 거에 디레스
So then when we think about it, we still have the sense of partiality. We help those that we like. If there's someone that is close to our heart, we help that person. So if we will then to take to heart what the Buddha said, we should do the same thing exactly. We should treat exactly in the same way those that we dislike, those that we do not get along with. When they face problems, when they have something going on for them, we should be helpful to them in the same way that we are helpful to those who are close to our heart. And if we behave in that way, as Geshe Langitamba said in this verse, if you look at it again, it says, I shall hold such rare ones dear as if I have found a precious treasure.
아니 소소 수직 아니 시gur 체딩에 소소스 장부 체딩에 소소 로바 체딩에 밀라 하 아니 로바 체디 고 시우지기에 아니 랍친스키 말아왔어 베너 둔루 숨진지 바이나 파 장부지는 수가고 지기도 왔어 니 아니 미기 남주 초도 좋아지 기차가 말았어 다 소소를 출려야 지 파를 삼는다기 로바 체데사기 미지기 수 두자질라고 말이나 디 독자 라고도 상서 많이 봐. 대려야 믹스가 봐. 아니 지 경담아서 소소케체니 아니 콜라파 약간 보통인지기 작은도나 당원이 아니 쳬바티레스 로 딜리 치고 걸 당한도 쳬바 쳬타베젤라 기신한 탐비기 소만하지 딜리 치고 가서라서 내가 속으면도 살아
So then if you think of helping out someone that you respect, someone that you hold with a sense of affection, someone that is your friend, and you help that person, you benefit them, it's good, but you could say that it's not like the best that you can do in a certain situation. Also, animals can do the same thing in the sense that if you treat a certain animal well, it can respond in kind, be affectionate with you. But if you were to take to heart Geshe Langitampa's advice in putting it into practice, then when someone speaks badly to you, you don't think about what they say, you don't dwell on the bad thing that was said to you, you still find ways to help a person. You take up the defeat and offer the victory to others. And this is also what you find in Geshe text. In the next verse, it says, when out of envy, others mistreat me with abuse, insults, and the like, I shall accept defeat and offer the victory to others.
Rada dindi sanglo na ta chingwan ge ninji lojongti kana kanzam ge shitsu badoch redos ani chi manzu da jeso passion to ya lojong chigyan sa pena ta soba singindi ra suya chi de kalya pa soba gom goyas kiyo maros ra suya u chin pa kontro sading injimba na ani midi ta Tuzangi tell was the Shanachim, level face cave, Taramadi, Kimaras. So Yavuchi is far conversating in that's Duja cheating in Julia. So the past someone on that in Harovach and Duja cheating in Julia. That's sober come to Wena, one is sober is, but the Kanla Dag, Penda, Revachi on Gashiki, Shindumirin, Sinitama Towers. That's sober, come down to me, in each other. Handle this again. Meeting, so do judge on the so that is.
So that would be the real practice of compassion if you were to practice it in this way. So, if we can do it like that, our practice is going really well. Now we have accomplished quite a big thing in our practice if we can do it in this way. So we put into practice different things, amongst them the 6 perfections, such as the perfection of patience. And you practice patience towards someone that you become angry with. If you're not angry with a certain person, you're not going to be practicing compassion with that person. Sorry, you're not going to be practicing patience with that person. If someone treats you well, there is no room here for being patient with that person. You practice patience with someone that upsets you, someone that is a harm doer, someone that you would get angry with. Actually, if you get angry with someone that helps you, with someone that treats you well, people might say that there's something totally wrong with you. You have something wrong in your mind if you treat badly or if you become angry with someone that treats you well. But you do practice patience in other situations. And this is what the next verse that Geshe Pampa explains. It says, when someone whom I have benefited, in him whom I have great hopes, gives me terrible harm, I shall regard that person as my holy guru.
Kargores laundi, and Dornangusum Juvaim, Pendiman, Kulambul, Mayan Dungaku, Samidala, Lambasho, Sanashinki, Kanchi Musum, Yubikuni, Chick, any Shenlaya, and Pendok Samba, Rock, Kanchi, and Pechunjunan Somanashinki, and Mananka the Yambi, Sunja Tamchilaya, Suzuki, Karswataji. Levi Chakari Yobadi, any Musum Briamania, Sam Digi, any Tuzolaya Tovasho, some Dodge, Tuzugi, Chick, Mendevi, Dumari, Kayobadi, any Tadani to Chick, any Nachibu Tollage, Humbasho, Sambigi, any Hanum Sujan, Gavding each, and Nan getting this chon to Vaina, any Lojongres.
So if we were to practice genuinely, really mind training, then we're going to do it in the following way. In short, both directly and indirectly, do I offer every benefit, happiness and benefit to all my mothers. I shall secretly take upon myself all the harmful actions and suffering. Just as it is stated in Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, when you think of directly and indirectly benefiting other sentient beings, you want to be helpful to them. So that just as this guide says, may all sentient beings that extend to the reaches of space obtain directly and indirectly whatever good thing there is, and you need to do it from the bottom of your heart. From the bottom of my heart do I offer every positive things directly and indirectly to all sentient beings, and may all the suffering and pain ripen upon me.
that means that lojum that any gewa sengdi and kandaji gores laundi pena nganzu ge suzu ge pile ya kandin jima de chime bainaya kandin tindu jima de chime na dichi chigi yubi number to mala ya tende gojo samsam chagdo as di any gewa yang tabaji chago ma di pi any jigde changdugi sambi kuni langyo suruchi ra chagwar ta dinji mahimba chi ani samba namda ki ani kaso ta chi gedrup chingi jimba ina ani sosu kanchi badi ani ko sosu gi sem dele ya ani gewe bhasha de shado dinji minji gi ani mi thonde goya da mela ngomde goya chago maras ra di injimi mela ngomde goya mi thonde goya jimba di sem dele ya test kanji ani nakti jibi ta resungo saresh kanji dire da kunje chiji tobi chumi ma pashi chunu dimashi ba yishingi chone trashas.
So in this way we cultivate virtue, and even insofar as I'm just doing a prayers, we sometimes in the course of cultivating virtue, we even if we just recite something that is kind of just a short verse or just a short prayer, we make sure that others are fully aware that we are doing that. Now, we want others to say that we're not practicing virtue. And when we do that, it means that our attitude is tainted by a worldly concern, that we're seeking to be acknowledged, that we're seeking to be respected or appreciated by others. So if we do it in this way, it means that our attitude is not pure. Our practice is not pure. Even though we might be practicing virtue, it is not going to be a perfect virtue. So for cultivating perfect virtue, we need to have a pure intention in virtue. One that is not concerned about others seeing you or appreciating you, praising you for doing whatever you do. So from the bottom of your heart, you need to have that genuine and pure attitude. So just as it says in the last verse, undefiled by the stains of the superstitions of the 8 worldly concerns.
Yes. But then there's that the chance. Any kanji dinza casualta. 당한두치 가리 제바디 삼반남다 제거했지. 그럼 삼반남다 제거했지. 아디 제바디 고여도지. 남한지 제대 고여도 디 아니 가지땅 자고 냠니
It means in short that you need to be honest about the way that you practice. If you practice in attempting to let others know that you practice, in broadcasting to everyone around you that what you're doing now is practicing the Dhamma, it means that your practice is not clean.
아니 자치우 참존이야 아니 차치우가 추마랑에 도다 아니 칼라만 빼망부여라다 어딘지래야 지 수주기 엠피기래야 지 쿠스무 존이 아니 두절래야 칼라테 추테 로바치나 디 코짐비 냠네라스 디 인지미 인게디 치기요세 아니 마 아니 직바도 잡다도 제대고나 아니 뭐 가르스는 미기 야구치 야구치를 삼성 레와티리소로 민담담 디지털이야 아니 제비교를 차원 빈지빈지요 차원 디지털 말했어.
So then when you think about it, now we have other living beings living here on the property. So we have different types of insects, ants, and so forth. We have different birds here. And it might be that you're going around and feeding them, giving them food. So if you go around and give them food without being concerned about other people seeing you and singing your praises about what you do, this is good, you're being genuine about it. But then if you do it in taking photos of yourself doing that and posting them all over and speaking about how you go around and feed other living beings, then you hope to be reciprocated, you hope to be respected or to be famous by your action of generosity. This is not a practice that is pure. Your practice is tainted by the worldly concern. If you do it without hoping to be famous or to be venerated, respected, and so forth, it is a genuine act of generosity. So Geshe was about to finish the session, but we have also a question that was posted here on the chat. It says, how do we balance the words of verse 2 against the risk of reverse pride or against the need to have an honest degree of self-esteem? 그래서 내가 딩어서 나게 단념보된 체도 되는 공격을 이네 되는 체와이나 소소베 로고맹교 근데 중기 마데스 되지 호바맹교들 차기 내가도 왔어 데 마차이트 컨디션 상관없어
만당 비기에 우유토니 상담은 아니 수수 빠심고에서 기여 말았어. 빠심고에서 기여 말았어. 빼나 아니 난주 미로스 미 아니 미생기 추지 빼나 수수 판매기 다가도지 참종치네 샤여되네야. 소소야 지 소소기 아니 소소스 고트는 갑들어야 안직 그도 멍체디 아니 소소체도 모두 파미체도 땅만 두고지 인구여라 빼나 아니 빼나 키도지 내야 이게 야탐바 콜이야 진주 콜이야 소중지 정치원이 그게 민세 감자디 진다들이야 가트이나 가오진 데트는스 진짜 성당에나 진짜 소소님은 진짜 참 소소데스 교를 찾았어 이거 우유도 찾았어 디 신발이 소소니 애들이 질문도 이 요한 구상비기 상무 쪽으로 나타비 소소베티 가야 장남이주 성당과의 뭐다
Well, it gets to breaking stuff when we adopt that attitude, which sees yourself as lower than other people. We also need to be realistic in respect to a certain situation. Like, for example, Geshe says, giving an example, it happens sometimes that when we grow up, we are being taken care of by our parents with such a great care and affection, and they take care of our daily needs and necessities. And we grow up and mature, and at some point we move away and we don't really think much about our parents. And this attitude is not really honest. They've taken such great care of us, and then we move away and we don't really think of repaying the kindness. Whereas when you think of keeping a pet, for example, a dog, you get a puppy and you raise that puppy with a great sense of concern, and it seems that for the rest of that dog's life, they will always appreciate you. They will hold you in that great sense of esteem. So in that sense, when you think of someone that is benefited and then appreciates that kindness for the rest of their life, you can say that in certain situations, a dog that does this better than us. But rather than thinking that therefore I'm not worthy or to have a really total low self-esteem, Geshe reckons that we don't need to get to that point. We can recognize our failings and then think that actually I can change. I have the potential to change. I can change my situation. I can make my mind better. So in that sense, we don't become discouraged. We become even more determined to bring about the change, to make a change. So in that sense, there is no need to develop a low self-esteem.
Yes.
So we will bring this session to conclusion, and we also have prayers to the end of the session. I think that we might have a different form of long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and I will update my files later on, but the rest of the dedications are just the same, so let's rock and roll. Lama Sangye
Rinpoche maje panu jejurchi dewa nyampa mebai Tone gondo bewara sho Kamde
So we are now doing the other dedication verse for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and we'll try to sort it out for the next sessions.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Carson.
So
Thank you,
we
Geshe.
will have, I think that next week on Thursday, we are studying the Thursday evening general program, I believe. So you're welcome to join us at 6:30. And then Geshe will continue with the Lamrim teaching on Friday morning, 10:30. So please come along. And towards the end of the month, we are studying with the study of Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life in the basic study program. And this time around, due to our current situation and also to the center, the fact that the center is closed, we've decided to make those teachings available to everyone. So the teachings are going to be conducted on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Geshe will teach from 10:30 to 12 o'clock, and then we're going to have a tutorial from 3 to 4, and in between, or before that, in the morning, we're going to have meditation sessions. So we're working on putting all our kit back together. We have information that was sent out, and there will be more information coming out. But for those of you who are at home and you have time at hand and you want to join us with the study program, please do. We're going to spend probably quite a few weeks, probably to the rest of the year, studying Shantideva's text, which is a super awesome text. So please come along and join us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Carson.
To everybody else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great to see you all.
Sarah.
Okay, hello. Hola.
¿Qué tal?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Muy bien, gracias.
Ah, gracias for teaching. Muy bien. Well, go.
What's your bird's name, Deb?
This is Maitreya.
Maitreya.
We heard Maitreya.
Yeah, she's down now. This is Maitreya on my shoulder.
Wonderful.
We're drinking chai.
Of course. Hi, Venerable Gompo. Good to see you. Hi, Kathy.
Bye.
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 Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
If you want to know more about the Shantideva teachings, just email me.
Who has said that? Was that
was me,
Kathy?
Kathy. Yeah.
So does he email you for anything?
Email bsp@shenrazy.com.au.
BSP. All right.
Shenrazy.com.au.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
How are you?
That's ridiculous. What did I do?